All right. Hello, everyone. We are live for the Savvy Entrepreneur Spotlight, and we're here with Tailor Brands. Awesome. So we already have some people chiming in. We have some cool comments here from Jocelyn. So we have Yali Saar here, and Yali is the CEO and founder of Tailor Brands, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does and share his journey as an entrepreneur. He is live with us today from Tel Aviv. They have a local office in Tel Aviv. They also are local to New York. So he's going to give us a little bit of information from there. But let's go ahead, please. Yali, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm Yali. I started actually from a completely different background. I started out back here in Tel Aviv as an actor. I was doing television, theater. I then kind of stumbled upon into journalism. Was a political spokesperson afterwards, and then joined a little company called BBDO, which is an advertising company. I moved to New York. But,
tiny.
I moved to New York. I actually started my first business there was a nonprofit rebranding education. We grew to around 100 people in New York, San Francisco, Hong Kong, and Sydney. And then we started Tailor Brands 3 years ago. We started it as a logo generator that was using algorithm to just create logos, and we had a lot of small businesses. They just reached out saying, "Listen, after I need a logo, how do I set up a business page? How do I start, creating social posts?" And we suddenly realized, why not get the same kind of qualities that BBDO gives Coca-Cola and make them available for everyone? So we used our algorithms to create the first automated branding platform, tailorbrands.com. And today we have over 4 million businesses on the platform. We have over like 500,000 new accounts every month, and it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Awesome. So out of those 4 million people, you say the majority of them are small business owners?
Definitely, but one of the interesting things about like small business owners, it's a definition that kind of expanded in the past few years, right? Because it used to be that the real definition of a small business is anybody with under 100 employees. And the reason, because of that, a lot of the services that are kind of geared towards small businesses are not really geared towards that, freelance photographer that is trying to just, create his own unique brand, or a blogger that doesn't have any employees out there. So it's really the micro businesses, small businesses, freelancers, entrepreneurs, everything in between.
Awesome. I know a lot of people don't realize. I think I know in the federal space, it's like up to $10 million. You're still considered a small business. So it's a huge range of people, right?
It's insane. We had some coffee shops that joined the platform when they had like 2 people and one kind of counter somewhere deep in Brooklyn. And it's a completely different ball game 2 years in the future, where suddenly they have 100 employees and they have like 20 branches, and the type of services you need are completely different, and we really try to cater for everything.
Oh, nice. So tell us a little bit more about the Tailor Brands platform. Like, how do people get started? What do they do once they're there?
I'm seeing an awesome kind of pop-up from Joseline. So Joseline, thank you so much. I'm happy that you got an awesome logo and branding campaign. What was your question again? Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you, Joseline. Awesome. So I was saying, tell us a little bit more about the Tailor Brands platform. Like, how do people get started? What do they do once they're there?
So tailorbrands.com is a platform that anybody can access online. And the first thing you do is you start by writing the name of the idea that you have, basically the project that you want to run, or your business, if it's something a little more constructed. Tailor uses machine learning to then create a logo on the spot from you based on all of the things that you wish to convey through that logo. But the unique thing is after you created a logo and you sign up, you can actually download the logo completely for free. You can download a 200 by 200, which is good for Facebook and everything. But if you go ahead and you enroll in one of our plans, Tailor Brands actually goes ahead and opens up a Facebook page for you. It automates your social posts. It writes, it designs, it gives you strategy. And in the coming months, we're actually going to even launch, ad management, strategy management, a lot of the other things you don't really have access to. And all of those things are as low as $2.99 a month.
Nice. Very, very nice. Plus the ad spend, yes?
Plus the ad spend, of course, if you choose to use the ad spend. The good thing is, we wanted to kind of completely demolish, excuse me for the word, the equation of price versus quality, right? Because when I was working with big clients, you mentioned it yourself when we were talking just before we started recording, that you have basically these clients that pay a lot of money, and you can obviously dedicate a lot of time to them. But then you also have a large pool of clients that don't have that much money straight off the bat, and you still want to give them the same quality, because I want to give every coffee shop the same kind of weapons that you give Starbucks, right?
Exactly.
Type of designs and creative and strategy that the platform gives today is the same for a business that has 100 and 400 people, and it's the same kind of services, the same quality of services that you would get if you're just a sole entrepreneur trying to get by on your own.
Awesome. So what are some of the things that small business owners, entrepreneurs need to think about or consider when they're looking at branding and marketing overall?
I think that at the end of the day, you need to understand that good branding is really about creating a story that pushes the value of a product, right? It always starts with a logo, but this actually goes back to where branding came from. Branding actually started as a way to differentiate between cows, right? It was something that farmers put on the ear.
Oh, that makes sense.
That was branding, and we used to call those brand mark, right? Brand mark was the different sign that each cow had on its ear to differentiate whether it belongs to one farmer or the other. So, and a logo is really just the anchor for the brand. It's you have to have a name in order for me to call you, right? But we like to say at Tailor, it only starts with the logo, because the logo is just the beginning. Branding expands into packaging, social, physical, and online presence. And I think this is the most important lesson. You have to have consistency, right? Once you create a logo, and once you decide kind of what your brand colors are, what is the language behind your brand, you need to make sure it's consistent, that your website, your social accounts, and everything else is really conveying the same message.
Love it. Consistency and conveying the same message. I love that whole thing about the cows. You really forget that the whole brand. I'm going to use that somewhere.
Yeah, it's another thing that we tend to forget is that every product has two types of value, right? You have the actual value of the product. When you make coffee, that's how much, sorry, the beans cost you, the cup costs you, right? That's the actual value of the product. But then you also have the perceived value. And branding, or good branding, is understanding that the perceived value is as important as the actual value. That's the reason that you can buy a coffee at a bodega for like $2, right? But then you go to a Starbucks, it's $4, or like a little unique coffee shop that can sell it all the way up to 10, right? So, it's really a story that you're telling about why it's worth paying you more than the actual value of the products that you use to create your own product.
Absolutely. And Jamila is mimicking you here, saying, consistency is key. Consistency
Correct.
is key. And then you also said something about, differentiating, making sure you can differentiate yourself.
So differentiating is always tricky, right? Because when you look at what is a good logo, right? There's one of the most famous brand designers that I love is Paul Rand. He created, among other things, the IBM logo. He made one of the revisions for the UPS, the ABC, and he has this famous interview where they ask him, he's really old at that point, and they ask him, how did you know that IBM is going to be, the 8-bit revolution? How did you put, there are 8 lines in the IBM logo? And he looked puzzled, and he was like, listen, I tried 7 lines, didn't look too good. I tried 9 lines, didn't look too good. 8 were just it. So while we're trying to differentiate ourselves and we're trying to create a story, we also need to understand that the key to a good logo or a good design at the end of the day is the fact that it complements your product. It looks good. Differentiating is something that is going to happen. It's the fact that you have a different logo from your competitors. But at the end of the day, you just need to make sure it works, because there are patterns to think. And this is really the core. Tell me if I'm talking too much. This is the core.
No, not at all.
What happens in the Tailor brand system is understanding that things have a logic to them. So if you, for example, tell a designer, right, that you want to create a fashion brand, in your eyes, it would be, okay, it's a fashion brand. It would immediately translate in my head into, okay, she wants a font, a typeface called Dido or something similar. Because if you look at the end of the day at Dior, at Harper's Bazaar, at Vogue, those are all the same logo. It's basically just one typeface called Dido, and there's nothing different about it, right?
Wow.
If you Crate & Barrel, American Apparel, Knoll Jeep, those are just a simple typeface called Helvetica, but they all convey the same message. It's an all-American brand. So they might not differentiate from each other, but they tell the right story for the product they're selling.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. And what would you say? Let's take a look at some of the comments here. So we also have Noah. So Noah says a logo is just the beginning.
Correct.
So building a brand. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that a logo is definitely just the beginning. When we look at what our clients need, they need branding as a whole. They need us to help them basically, convey their story. So it starts with the logo, then it goes all the way for branding their Facebook pages, right? Creating the social posts, understanding what is the messaging that you want to communicate, because our commitment to you as a client doesn't stop once we design the logo. We also want to help you bring in new customers and retain your old customers. In order to do that, we need to help you create a consistent brand.
Absolutely. So now that we've talked a lot about branding, let's talk a little bit about you, right? So tell us a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur. You gave us your background, but what really made you decide to be an entrepreneur as opposed to, continuing to work for BBDO?
So for me, the story was quite simple. I had my 2 best friends, and we knew that we wanted to work with each other, and we knew that at the end of the day, there's only kind of you need to have kind of an alignment of the stars to be in a situation where you're willing to take that leap. It doesn't happen at a specific age. It can happen in all sorts of points in life, but it's that point where you're like, okay, now I can actually take the time, and this is the core of being an entrepreneur, right? I can try, I can fail, and I can repeat again until I succeed. You really need to have that kind of time and endure in order to get to that phase. So we knew that we wanted to work with each other, and the next day I was just finishing the nonprofit, and we just decided, let's do it. We didn't have a specific idea back at the time, but we decided to rent an apartment together. It was somewhere off I think it was the J Stop or something in Brooklyn. It was like $300 a month, the cheapest place that we could find. You could literally touch the railway from your window, and you could hear the train passing
Oh
7.
my goodness.
And we played around with 3 different ideas, and we actually managed to get partners for all 3 ideas. We managed to get all of them out off the ground, and then we sat down and we asked ourselves, what do we really want to do for the next, 5, 7, 10, maybe more years? And then we decided Tailor Brands is not going to be an easy journey, but it's a journey that if we succeed, we really feel that we're creating a positive impact for other people. So we decided to just roll with it, and 3.5 years later, we've raised a couple of rounds of funding. We have so it's been an amazing run so far. I'm very happy.
Awesome. That intimidates a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, when you say you raised a couple of rounds of funding, so what does that mean?
Um, so we started out with the crazy idea of just creating an algorithm that could be creative. It doesn't say a lot to a lot of people. We worked with 2 big companies, and the idea was really pushing the algorithm in their backbone so they could create designs without templates. After 3 months, one of them tried to acqui-hire us, and we
Right.
really
Good problem to
didn't.
have.
Yeah, we were just setting out on this journey, and we sat down and we said, okay, we could make a quick buck here, but at the same time, would this dream of making other people's dreams a reality would continue on, or would this just end up being kind of this tool that this big corporation is using somewhere and is just kind of empowering the same idea that we were trying to democratize, and we continue, and we decided to continue on. We were very lucky to raise the first round of funding back in 2014, and that was no, 2015, sorry, and that was the first $1.1 million that we raised. After another round of another $4 million, and that really helped the business kind of grow and scale in the speed that it had to.
Awesome. And so to our entrepreneurs out there, don't be intimidated. You can get there if necessary. Not every business needs like investors though, right?
No. I think that my recommendation is always, if you can do without, do without. Don't get to the point of funding before you need to, because it really brings in a lot of politics into a business, right? You're an independent still, but you have people that you wanna, you need to supply answers to, and you also, you've taken money from someone. Now it's
Right.
you can show success. So it's kind of having partners, but that they have kind of a different stake that they put in the company. You have your time, and that's it. They also put a lot of money in it, and suddenly you're like, okay, I need to make it succeed, not just for me, but for them as well, for being so supportive. One thing I would say about any funding process is that you would get a lot of no's until you would get a yes, right? It's I've been sitting a while back with 2 friends of mine. One has a much bigger company. They're like 700 people today. One has a slightly smaller company. It was 300 people, and one was just starting out. And the one starting out reached out to me and said, listen, one of your investors said no to me. And I looked at him and I was like, listen, I could probably fill a whole wall with all of the no's I received. And then the guy with the slightly bigger company looked at us and he said, I could probably fill a whole room. And then the guy with the 700 people said, I could probably fill my entire house. So it's really about just trying, failing, repeating. At the end of the day, you'll get it.
Love it. Love it. So you shared a lot with us. I was going to say, so you actually shared a lot of obstacles. What would you say has been your biggest, and it doesn't have to be monetarily, but what success has meant the most to you?
Um, I think that yeah, I'm going to kind of divide that into two sections, right?
Yeah,
There
okay.
is the business success, and I'm very fortunate that the company today, we're leading in our own space. We are the biggest when it comes to logo generation online, and we're helping
Mhm.
in branding as well, and we're helping literally millions of businesses out there. But and on that specific portion, I think that the one thing that fulfilled me the most was that we receive from time to time just gifts to our office, and from customers that we helped along the way, and you suddenly get these whiskey rocks from Alaska, from a guy that branded, you see a branded package that you made somewhere,
Wow.
and he says, you helped me, set up my business, or you're getting a bunch of apples, an apple like box from Germany, and suddenly you understand that you helped
Wow.
somebody, get his farm out of debt over there. So that's on the business portion, and we're very fortunate to be doing what we're doing. On the personal side, I'm just very happy on the fact, and this is one of the greatest things about starting your own business. I go to work every day with my best friends. Every day, I have the
Yeah.
privilege of going to work and work with my best friends and just work on things that we love. And that's an amazing thing.
Yay, that sounds awesome. So, we have all these business that you help, and we know that logo is just the beginning, right? So, what do you do as a company to continue to nurture your clients and have them grow or become repeat customers?
Yeah. So I think the first thing to remember is that it's never too early to start your social presence. It's very, very important to be out there before you actually need to be out there, because it takes time to kind of get the reputation that you need in order to start getting more leads on social. So open up a Facebook page, open up a Twitter page, open up an Instagram page, and start posting. You have to have content. You have to have quality content. You have to start communicating. I think that marketing is really just about communication with your customer base. So you have to do that on a regular basis. Um, After you have that, obviously, find and this once you understand that marketing is communication with users, it's about setting up the right email flows and understanding how do you communicate with them outside that social, because you really, when you away, I'm going to say Taylor helps you do all of that, right? It helps you set up the Facebook page, it helps you design the social posts and schedule them, it helps you do all of that. But it's really about creating stickiness, right? Because this is what retention is all about. So you have this one layer of communication, which is social. You have another layer of communication, which is email. And if you can get another layer of communication and actually, send a Christmas card to their house, that's great as well. You want to create a
Yay.
personal connection with your users.
Awesome. So if there was one thing, you left a lot of gems, you dropped a lot of gems, but if there was one takeaway that you would want our community to take from Yali and Taylor Brands and your partners, what would that be?
Ha! Try, fail, repeat, and never give
Love
up.
it. Try, fail, repeat, and never give up. And on another note, so this $300 a month unit. So I know in New York already, if you're spending 3,000, you're getting a closet. So
No,
I cannot
no, no.
imagine.
$3.99.
It's $399.
$3.99 is what you need in order to start get your full brand
Wow.
package from Taylor Brands. That's it. Not $399. $3.99.
Awesome. 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 No, but I was talking about this apartment that you rented in New York
Oh,
City.
sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No, definitely. So I went through the platform too and played with building a logo, and I think it's an awesome tool. So we will definitely push everyone. Also, Jamila, if you can drop, I know that Jacqueline sent over a promo code for 40% off for our Savvy community. So once she drops that in the comments, then I'll post that on the screen as well. And, we love the opportunity to partner with you guys and to get our community over to Tailor Brands. We're really excited. So another question I have is just about, it seems like you have an amazing international presence. So was that something that was close to your heart or just grew organically?
So we started out by growing organically, and I think we just used my kind of old skills coming from journalism, coming from being a spokesperson, and really understanding how can we find our way into the market with no dollars in our pockets, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that one of the things, and this is the same for getting that initial traction, and understanding that if you at the end of the day manage to send 40, 60, 80, 100, 120 emails, find any kind of publication out there and try it. You might get 90 no's, but for that one yes, it's going to get the ball rolling. So we started, we had a bunch of articles in different places, and it was never kind of Gale-centric because the platform is online. And it started growing organically from there. After we managed to get that initial traction and that initial investment, we took that money and we reinvested it into ads and into marketing. And it's also very important to understand how you're doing marketing correctly, paid marketing. And today, we're everywhere. I think that we really have a lot of different countries, users from different countries. The majority of our user base is still US based.
Okay.
And I think that the US still has a lot more entrepreneurs and a lot more people trying to kind of create their own thing than anywhere else.
Awesome. So we have a question. So we have a question here from Noah. I'll put it on the screen. So he says, Tailor Brand sounds amazing. You've really built an amazing company. Who would you say is your ideal client? Who would benefit the most from your service?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think that the ideal client we always say it's never too early, right? When you have an idea that you've been playing around with for a while, and you just want to start, testing the water, that is the start phase. Go on the platform, create a logo, start a Facebook page, see if you can get traction before you even get the product up and running. See if you have interest. So it's really anything from somebody that just has an idea, any freelance. We have musicians, we have photographers, we have accountants that they have a day job, right? But during the night they want to kind of do their own thing. So they create a logo for their own kind of independent firm, and they start marketing themselves through Tailor because it's very time efficient. So there you have tech companies, restaurants, coffee shops, and of course, much more established businesses. But we really want people to come to us the minute they have an idea.
Awesome. So a big part of the Savvy Entrepreneur community is this community aspect, right? So we like to get to know our entrepreneurs, not just as business people, but as people. So tell us, what do you like to do in your spare time? What makes you smile?
Cool. It's going to
outside of work.
So obviously, when you're doing your own business, it's a lot of your time goes towards that, and it's not because you don't have the work-life balance. It's because you really fall in love with what you do. So you go back home, and suddenly you read about branding, and you can see I'm kind of a design freak with how I talk. So that obviously interests me. But also, other than that, just anything else that helps me get creativity elsewhere. So I write, I like to cook, I like to travel a
Ooh.
lot. It's really important. I think that when you have kind of this daily routine of getting a business from 0 to 100, finding ways to get inspiration elsewhere.
Awesome. So, guys, we are winding down. We're going to let Yali go in a moment. It's late over there in Tel Aviv. Again, he's joining us from his Tel Aviv location today. He's also local to New York in the US. I'm going to run through really quick and see if we have any more questions. We have Brandon. Hi, Brandon. We have Brandon's one of our entrepreneurs based in the Midwest. He has a group called Business Activist Entrepreneurs. So it's all about giving. And he actually just sold his coffee shop. So we keep referring to coffee shop. So that's very funny. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Jocelyn. Hi, Navari. Awesome. So let's see. Just to recap some of the awesome points. Here's one from Jamila. On being an entrepreneur, I can try, I can fail, and I can repeat again until I succeed. That's a tweetable, guys. Run out there and tweet that and at Tailor Brands, because that one's awesome. I'm going to tweet that today once I get a moment to get away from the computer. Another thing, consistency is key. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. From Noah, a logo is just the beginning. And what Yali said about that is it's just the beginning of your brand. You need to make sure that you're consistent, you're telling a story, and it doesn't, and you're with differentiating, it doesn't have to be so unique that it takes a lot of time and resources to create it. It's really just about, and you can also differentiate yourself from another industry. It doesn't necessarily mean against your competition. You can actually leverage your competition if you're smart, right? Awesome. We do. So go ahead and go to tailorbrands.com. And we have a promo code for our savvy viewers, Savvy40. That'll give you 40% off of the solution. I mean, really, jump over there and play with the logos. And they offer a wealth of services. This is really just the starting point for what you can do and where you can take your business and brand with Tailor Brands. But I do have another question that popped in. And seeing Navari here, so Navari is a brand specialist as well, brand strategist. We have a couple of other marketing agencies or digital agencies, and I told you I still do some client work. What are some of your thoughts and tips for people in the industry?
I think that one of the things to always note is how the world is changing, and the branding has to correspond with the changes that we see in the world, right? So you can see that with all of the major rebrands, for example. But once we're going into a situation where the places where you're going to kind of show your branding at are going to be smaller and smaller. The majority of us, we get exposed to the majority of brands through our cell phone. So differentiating yourself, right, has to be something that is visible to the eye, even when it's this small. Mm-hmm. And this is something that becomes harder, because if we look at, old type of logos, right, if they're very complex, you can't really see them on small devices. So one of the key trends that we're seeing in the market right now is simplification, right? We're going through a phase of simplification of everything. And this is not just because somebody thought that it looks good. It has actual value when it comes to how fast people will recognize the brand that they're seeing through the new devices that they're seeing them through, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is remember that there is never, and this is something that, it's hard to process a lot of the times, but there's never too early and it's never too much. It's when you think about it, we're always kind of concerned about the fact, are we tweeting too much? Are we posting too much? Are we sending too many emails? And we tend to forget the fact that when we walk down the street, right, you see all of these ads everywhere. You see those bulletin boards everywhere, and you don't think about that as spam. Now, the internet or Facebook or your cell phone is kind of this new It's that new street. And if you're not going to be out there, somebody else is going to be. So push yourself as hard as you can.
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions, guys? We're getting a lot of, kudos, golden words of wisdom. The world is changing, and branding has keep it simple, stupid from Brandon. Oops, keep it stupid, silly, keep it simple, silly, whatever. Kiss. What did it say, Kiss? I've heard it so many ways. Golden words of wisdom from Jocelyn. And then, of course, Jamila is reminding us that the promo is available until February 27th. And I just remind you guys that Tailor Brands, although they have this platform where you can build your logo by yourself, and, we have this great 40% off. I say it over and over and over again. You get what you pay for. So, although it's nice we're getting a discount, look at some of the other services and see how they can really help you take your business to the next level. Because in order to really grow, you have to invest in your business.
So one of the good things is, and it's an all-in-one service. If you design your logo, you're getting everything for the same price. It doesn't cost you anything extra. So just set up your Facebook page, see how it feels. Get a week of social posts out. See if you can start getting the word out there. And this doesn't have to be, a product that is up and running. If you have an idea, just go ahead and test the water, right? It's a lot easier once you have that confidence to start building your own project.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
How's the weather over there in Tel Aviv?
Nice and warm. Oh. It's I was actually in New York just last week, and the difference is right. Is
awesome.
Here. You get you go.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us, Yali. We really, really appreciate it. And thanks for joining the Savvy Entrepreneur community today.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful platform. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Please do keep in touch.
Will do.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us for Awesome Savvy Entrepreneur Spotlight with Yali at Tailor Brands. So for the rest of the day, enjoy it. Hopefully it's sunny like it is in Tel Aviv. Here in DC, it's a little wet, a little rainy, but for the most part, Savvy Entrepreneur, again, it's all about community, resources, and accountability to help grow your business. So, one of the key things that Yali said was, I can try, I can fail, and I can repeat again until I succeed. There was something else I read earlier this week, and it said something like, it took me 10 years to get to the 1 year that I made it. Just keep going, and don't quit. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. You'll see me around for the next few days because we are in the middle of open enrollment for the Inner Circle. So, check your inboxes. You'll see a lot of stuff. Check us out on social. You'll see a lot of stuff. Hit me up on Messenger and let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you soon. Bye.